Now just try to follow this. There are seasons when the calendar is orderly, the job is not in crisis, the relationships appear sound, and yet you rise in the morning with a stone upon the heart and go to bed with an ache behind the eyes. Nothing is wrong, and everything is heavy. In that moment, the world will tell you to rearrange, optimize, bargain for fewer meetings, a better app, a quieter weekend. Oh, no, no, no. Please remember, the weight is not life. It's the belief you must carry life. Take that down into the secret place of your own heart. Please remember, the weight is not life. It's the belief you must carry life. We are not, in this work, primarily seeking a better schedule, a streamlined inbox, a clever boundary. Useful as they may be on their level, they do not touch the cause. We are seeking a change of consciousness, a reversing of reliance, a recognition that God is, and that is enough to know. Outer order follows inner peace as effect. It is never the cause of it. If we imagine that tomorrow's calendar will heal today's burden, we join the world's conversation and we miss the disciples' correction. The world treats burnout as a management problem. The disciple must treat it as a symptom of imagined separation from grace. Now follow this. Burden announces not the size of your duties, but the size of your self-belief. When you accept, even quietly, even respectably, the premise that you must keep the plates spinning, keep the people pleased, keep the paycheck flowing by the exertion of a private, lonely self, then that premise itself lays upon you like lead. The heaviness is not proof that life is too much. It is evidence that you have consented to carry what is not yours to carry. Please remember, the weight is not life. It's the belief you must carry life. We as students are to make a categorical correction. Actually, there is no relationship between outer shuffle and inner relief. They are entirely separate and distinct realms. Now then, I am promising you something simple, something you can count on because it rests in principle and not in luck. A 10-minute return, not to effort, not to self-improvement, but to grace. We will do it together later, not as a technique to get calm, but as a cessation of the getting mind until calm reveals itself as the atmosphere of being. Until then, begin inwardly to refuse the false assignment. Whisper it when you feel the clutch in the chest. I do not carry life. Life lives itself. The government is upon his shoulder. And as you rest there, quietly, secretly, you will notice a subtle lightening, not because the load shrank, but because the one who pretended to lift it has disappeared. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We must make a clean, categorical correction, or we will wander for years. Actually, there is no relationship between rest and relief. They are entirely separate and distinct. Rest is a physical interval, a psychological intermission. Relief is a spiritual release, the lifting of the false carrier out of the yoke of self-responsibility. Please remember this. If relief depends on a condition, a day off, a beach, a closed laptop, it is not relief. It is only postponement. You know the cycle. You take the weekend. You sleep 9 hours. You silence the notifications. You even taste a sweetness there, a slower breath, a kinder hour. But Monday enters the room, and like a well-trained servant, the old pressure bows and resumes its post. Why? Because the premise was untouched. The self that believes, I must uphold this family, this department, this future, by the strength. Now follow this. Burnout is fueled not by long hours alone, but by wrong reliance. The tacit worship of personal capacity as the source of supply, the guarantor of safety, the dispenser of peace. While that altar stands within you, even a month on an island cannot save you, because you will carry the altar in your luggage and set it up by the sea. Oh, no, no, no. Not a new routine, not a new app, not a new productivity system. These may be useful in their kingdom, arrangement, sequence, ergonomics, but they do. Please remember, relief is before rest, not after it. Relief is the discovery, here and now, that life is carrying itself, that the government is upon. Now then, since we are not the world, but now just try to follow this. The whole world is trained in a bargain, and because it is universal, we hardly see it. The bargain says, when I get enough, I will be okay. When I get enough approval, enough security, enough money, enough credentials, enough control, enough rest, enough time, enough results, then at last I may place my head upon the pillow of peace. And so we enter the marketplace of minds, buying and selling glances, applause, metrics, promotions, vacations, vitamins, strategies, in the hope that one more cart of goods will roll into our barn and silence the ache. Oh, no, no, no. Please remember, the ache is not for more goods. It is for God as being recognized. Can you ever get enough to feel safe? Let us be honest students here. If safety were found in the pile, why does the mind move the finish line the moment you touch it? Why does the new number become the old number's poor cousin in a single afternoon? Why, after an affirmation lands, do you listen for the echo of a darker forecast? Because the getting consciousness feeds on distance. It lives by the assumption that what you need stands over there, and that you must bring it over here. It is built on separation, and so it must generate lack to justify its project. Actually, there is no relationship between getting and being okay. They are entirely separate and distinct realms. Getting rearranges the yard. Being is the ground. Now let me be very clear, because we as disciples are more subtle than we know. We smuggle this bargain into our prayers. We try to get peace, get guidance, get a sign, get God to help if we have met the conditions. We approach the infinite as a supplier behind a counter, and we extend a ticket stamped, "I've tried." Oh, no, no, no. Prayer is not a transaction. Never expect anything of God as if God were a storehouse to be emptied by your petitions. God is the very peace you seek, the very light you beg to be shown, the very life you are trying to preserve. God is, and that's enough to know. To turn prayer into getting is to keep alive the very lack that drove you to your knees. What then is burnout under this light? It is not merely the depletion of nerves. It is the exhaustion of living as a separated self. The weariness of bargaining with life as though life were outside, reluctant to be coaxed. It is the strain of treating God, or the universe if you prefer that word, as a distant supplier to be impressed with your effort, your hours, your sacrifices, your spreadsheets. Please remember, burden swells wherever lack is presumed. Rest appears wherever presence is recognized. The government is upon his shoulder, not on yours, not on mine. His. Now then, hear the mercy hidden in this diagnosis. The release does not come by getting more. It comes by yielding to what already is. Not another cart, not another clause, not another commendation. Yield. Be still and know that I am God. In that knowing, not in the bargaining, the heart discovers that peace is not a prize won after you manage life. Peace is the atmosphere of life itself, here, now, already. And as that becomes the reliance, the finish line disappears, because there is no race. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We must make the inversion explicit, or the mind will continue to look out and up, and then wonder why the ache returns. Never believe that God gives peace as a reward for your effort, your hours, your virtue. Oh, no, no, no. That would make God a dispenser and you a beggar. That would keep alive the very sense of distance that breeds strain. Please remember, God is not a helper for your overload. God is the peace you have been trying to obtain. God is the presence itself, here and now, before a task is touched, before a call is returned, before a plan is drawn. God is, and that's enough to know. God is. God is. God is. Actually, there is no relationship between human pushing and divine peace. They are entirely separate and distinct. Human pushing is an activity of the personal self trying to secure its world. Divine peace is the nature of reality recognized when the personal self falls silent. And this is not poetry, it is practice. The very moment you cease negotiating with life, if I can just finish this, if they will just approve that, if I can just hold out till Friday. In that very moment of cessation, if only for a breath, you may feel the shoulders lose their posture, the jaw unclench, the heartbeat come out of hiding. Why? Because presence is not arriving. You have stopped arguing with what already is. Please remember this point. The refrain, God is not a slogan to decorate the wall. It is the method of returning consciousness to being. When the mind runs its rounds, you do not debate it on its terms. You withdraw allegiance and rest in the fact. God is. You do not add, you do not explain, you do not bargain. God is. In that acknowledgement, quiet, secret, unannounced, strain begins to loosen because the carrier has been dismissed. Life never asked you to hold it up. The government is upon his shoulder, not yours. Now then, let me guard this from misunderstanding. This is not passivity. This is not neglect of duty. This is not denial of practical steps. On the contrary, duties are fulfilled more faithfully when they are carried from peace rather than for peace. The email is written, the child is comforted, the meeting is led, the budget is balanced. But the motive has been washed. No longer is action a pilgrimage toward a hoped-for rest. Action is the transparency of a rest already found. The yoke is easy and the burden is light because it is not yours. So we come to our bridge. The 10-minute reset we shall share is not a technique by which you force calm into a reluctant room. Please, let us never insult spirit by trying to coerce it into a mood. The reset is a yielding into omnipresence until peace is recognized as the true atmosphere of being. We enter our closet, not a geographical closet, but the inner hush. And we do not ask, we do not analyze, we do not arrange. We abide. God is. God is. God is. And as that becomes not words but awareness, you will discover that grace is not something you receive after you have fixed life. Grace is the presence you recognize before life begins to feel light. From there, the hands move, the day proceeds, and harmony appears as effect, not as prize. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We have come to the hinge on which the whole door swings. Burnout, as you have begun to see, is not only hours and tasks. It is divided allegiance. You cannot anoint personal will as the source of your peace, and then, when it rattles and collapses, ask grace to patch the holes. Oh, no, no, no. One must make a choice of one or the other. Rarely will the right results come from the combination of them. Actually, there is no relationship between control and trust. They are entirely separate and distinct realms. Control is a vow to carry life. Trust is the recognition that life carries itself. Please remember this. Divided reliance creates strain. Single-pointed reliance dissolves it. Name this within yourself so that it cannot hide. I trust God, you say, but I must make sure this and guarantee that and keep them from ever failing me. That sentence is a split yoke, and the body feels it long before the lips confess it. The shoulders rise without your permission. The breath grows shallow while you sit in a perfectly ordinary meeting. The day is normal, the sky is gentle, the coffee is warm, and yet inside there is a small soldier with a dented shield, braced against what has not arrived. Irritability becomes a language in the mouth, fatigue a fog in the eyes, because the heart is stretched between altars, spirit on one side, self on the other. Please remember, that tug of war is the ache you have been calling too much. It is not too much. It is two masters. Now then, let us be honest and kind. In emergencies, in the storm and the night, we may reach for many supports, friends, plans, expertise, so that the boat does not capsize. No condemnation. But the stable life, the life you can count on in season and out of season, cannot be built upon shifting mixtures. It is built upon a principle, undivided reliance on spirit as the source of peace, of supply, of safety. If you keep alive even a secret clause, spirit, yes, but I must secure the rest. That clause will hum all day and keep the nerves on alert. Actually, there is no relationship between the props of circumstance and the principle of grace. Props hold up appearances. Principle is the substance itself. So we make a queen experiment together. Not to impress God, please remember, never to impress God, but to feel the law in action. For 10 minutes, we will cease all internal bargaining. We will not ask grace to help what self has declared sovereign. We will quietly remove the self from its imaginary throne and let being be. We will practice a single sentence until it becomes awareness. God is. God is, and that's enough to know. We will notice the signs of division, jaw set, mind braced, and, instead of correcting the world, we will correct our reliance. We will not add. We will not explain. We will not anticipate. We will abide. Choose now, within yourself, without announcement and without drama. Let the personal carrier step down. Let secrecy protect the holy transaction. Say nothing outwardly, but inwardly confess. I have no divided altar. My peace is not the prize of effort. My effort is the transparency of peace. God is. God is. God is. And as reliance becomes single, strain has no instrument through which to play. The soldier goes off duty. The breath returns to its long shore. And you will have tasted, not a theory, but the shift. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We come now to a matter of spiritual hygiene, not moralism, not etiquette, mechanism. Enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Please remember this. What you continually announce, you continually strengthen. When the problem is paraded, the ego is invited to officiate. When the door is shut, the Father that seeth in secret does the work without the interference of a commentator. Actually, there is no relationship between broadcasting and relief. They are entirely separate and distinct. Broadcasting feeds a role. Relief dissolves the role. You recognize our modern alters. Compulsive venting, constant status updates. The open mic of how busy, how exhausted, how slammed I am, repeated across coffees, corridors, and glowing screens. And because the world applauds the brave confessor of overwhelm, we begin to take identity there. I am the one who carries too much. Oh, no, no, no. That is not courage. That is rehearsal. Each retelling deepens the groove, strengthens the self-portrait, and keeps the mind's instrument tuned to strain. Please remember, narration is not neutral. It is creation. The words you issue become the pattern you inhabit, and the body, faithful servant that it is, will live out the script placed in its mouth. Now then, hear this correction in tenderness. This is not repression. This is not shame. This is not a gag order upon necessary communication. It is a refusal to build an altar to the problem. It is the choice not to turn burnout into a personal brand, not to trade in the currency of sympathy for the small reward of being seen as valiantly tired. Speak where duty requires, yes. Make the arrangements that integrity asks, yes. But silence the drumbeat of self-description. Keep your troubles bottled up, not with fear, but in sacred privacy, so that the Father can see them and know them, and you are spared the ego's endless commentary. Be grateful if you cannot explain your state. His understanding is infinite. Yours need not compete. So let us make a gentle practice before our reset. For this next segment of our time together, this hour, this evening, say nothing of your burden to the world. No text sent to secure reassurance, no sigh performed for the room, no status etched upon a timeline. When the impulse rises to announce, to narrate, to be known in heaviness, shut the door. Turn within and whisper, not to get, but to yield. God is. God is, and that's enough to know. Let secrecy open the window through which grace moves. In that quiet, you will feel the chatter subside, and with it, the role that chatter sustains. In that quiet, you will notice that the government was never upon your shoulder. Now we make the turn. We stop asking the crowd to carry us emotionally, and we let grace carry us inwardly. We cease feeding the identity of the overburdened one, and we consent to be no one in whom peace can reveal itself. We withdraw our storyline and give the Father space to reward openly. And from that secrecy, we will step into our 10-minute yielding, not to get calm, but to recognize calm as the atmosphere of being. God is. God is. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We are not going to get calm. Oh, no, no, no. We are going to cease resisting the presence that is already here. So settle. Sit as you are. Hands easy. Face soft. Let the shoulders drop a half inch, and then a half inch more. Relax. Relax. Not to achieve, not to demonstrate your spiritual aptitude, but to stop the internal push. Let the breath be what it is. No heroics, no perfect count. Please remember this point. You are not making peace arrive. You are discovering that peace has never left. God is. Now quietly name the belief that has had its hands on your throat. Without performance, without commentary, let it appear before you in simple words. I must hold this together. I must make sure nothing fails. I must carry this. See it. Bow to no drama, just see it. And now release it with the refrain you know. Please remember, the weight is not life. It's the belief you must carry life. Whisper it once, then again, softer. The weight is not life. It's the belief you must carry life. The government is upon his shoulder. Let that ancient sentence lift the yoke from the imagined carrier. You do not keep the sun burning. You do not keep the lungs inflating. Life lives itself. Now we change the language of the heart from petition to recognition. Watch the old plea arise. Help me, give me, fix this. And gently set it down, not as refusal, but as understanding. Replace it here in your closet with the fact, God is here, peace is, supply is, life is sustaining itself. Never expect anything of God as if God were across a counter. God is the very substance of what you sought. God is, and that's enough to know. God is, that's all. Allow the silence now. If thoughts come, as they will, do not fight them, do not follow them. Let them pass like birds crossing a wide sky that you do not need to net. When you notice you have gone with one, simply return to the single, simplest truth. God is. No argument, no embroidery. God is. If a sensation arises, tightness, a flutter, do not interpret. Rest the sensation in the same truth. God is. Let the mind grow tired of tugging on a rope you refuse to hold. Now look upon your day as one might look upon a landscape after rain. Fresh, not because you changed it, but because something living has risen from the ground. See your duties not as causes to secure peace, but as effects of peace already present. You are not entering battle, you are entering expression. I go in peace, and peace goes as me. The email, the meeting, the meal, the commute, each an avenue through which rest becomes visible form. Not by might, not by power, but by spirit moving where it wills, in you, as you. Let us seal in gratitude. Not gratitude for a forecast or an outcome. Do not bargain here. Gratitude for presence recognized, for the veil thinning, for the carrier dismissed. Thank you. Thank you. And as you rise, remember, if at any moment you are in acute crisis of body or mind, be led to the proper help without delay. Let grace guide you to the hands prepared for that hour. This holy practice is your spiritual ground. It does not replace urgent care. Now go quietly, secretly, and let what is within you reward you openly. God is. God is. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. The order is everything. First communion, then activity. First peace, then decision. First resting in God is, then the movement of the hands. Actually, there is no relationship between forcing and harmony. They are entirely separate and distinct. Forcing is the presumption that effect can be willed into place by a personal self. Harmony is the natural wake of grace once reliance has been reversed. Please remember this. When peace is established within, life reorganizes without strain. Harmony appears not as your prize, but as the trail left by presence moving through a day. What will you begin to notice? Priorities clear without argument. You find that some items fall from the list as leaves fall from a tree when the season turns. You do not tear them off, they release. Reactivity slows. There is a half-breath where once there was a reflex, and in that half-breath, the unnecessary reply dies unborn. Communication becomes simpler, cleaner, less embroidered by the need to be seen as right or heroic. The compulsion to prove relaxes. You do not audition for your own life. Urgency quiets, not the holy quickening by which you answer your duty, but the nervous urgency that is only fear with a stopwatch. You will see this, not because you are managing yourself more cleverly, but because you are standing in a different center. Now then, beware the mind's quickest sabotage. It will try to use peace as a tool to be more productive. Ah, this calm is effective. Let me harness it to get twice as much done. Oh, no, no, no. Please remember, peace is not an instrument in the hand of ego. Peace is the truth of your life. The moment you weaponize peace for output, you have returned to the old altar of getting, and the yoke tightens again. Let peace be what it is, the atmosphere of being, and allow action to be its transparency. Do what is yours to do from the center, and leave the scoreboard unconsulted. God is, and that's enough to know. For integration, keep a rhythm, not to fix the schedule, but to maintain reliance. 10 minutes in the morning. Enter your closet, shut the door of intention, yield the day before it begins, and rest in God is. 2 minutes at midday. Withdraw allegiance, step back from the race, let the sentence rinse the mind. God is, and return without fanfare. 10 minutes at night. Not a review to congratulate or condemn, but a simple laying down of the carrier before sleep, a return to the fact that life lives itself. This is not performance, it is hygiene of reliance. And as you walk, take this identity correction with you. You are not a burned-out person trying to recover. Please remember, you are the expression of grace, temporarily believing in burdens. The government is upon his shoulder. My peace I give unto you, not as a mood, but as your home. From that home, boundaries arise without bitterness. No is said without drama. Yes is given without fear. Plans are made without the panting of the runner. You will witness outer harmonies, appointments that align, conversations that ease, opportunities that fit, not because you forced the pieces, but because presence expressed itself as order. Let the wake appear while you keep your eye on the sea. God is. God is. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We come to the reversal that ends the arithmetic of strain. The world says, if I take more in, more sleep, more praise, more calories, more inspiration, I will be strong enough to face the day. Actually, there is no relationship between taking in and strength. They are entirely separate and distinct. Taking is consumption within the getting mind. Strength is overflow within the giving consciousness. Please remember this. You do not become strong by hoarding. You reveal strength by letting the source flow. My cup runneth over is not poetry. It is description. The cup does not grind to produce the water. It simply allows the spring to appear. Oh, no, no, no. Do not misunderstand giving in this work. Giving is not people-pleasing, not heroic self-sacrifice, not overwork decorated with a smile. That would only be the getting mind in church clothes, bargaining for approval. Giving is presence expressing itself, patience where agitation could have spoken, clarity where confusion was invited, kindness without self-reference, simplicity instead of embroidery. Sometimes giving is a clean, gentle no that preserves honesty. Sometimes it is a quiet yes that costs nothing because it came from the center. Not my energy, not my will, not my capacity. Grace moving through the day. Please remember this refrain until it writes itself in you. Not my, not my, not my. God is. Why does this heal burnout? Because burnout thrives on the belief that you are a limited battery, being asked to power a hungry world. With that belief, every interaction is weighed as loss or gain. You enter rooms calculating. You leave rooms depleted or inflated, and the ledger never balances. But when reliance is reversed and you cease treating the self as a generator, measurement stops. Encounters are no longer withdrawals from a private account. They are transparency of what already is. Peace gives as patience and remains whole. Supply gives as right word and is not smaller. Love gives as regard and does not run thin. The river does not count its gallons as it moves. It knows only its source. God is, and that's enough to know. Now then, here is how we anchor this in practice. Quietly, secretly, so the ego cannot reclaim it. Choose one small act today and do it from overflow, without narrative, without signature, anonymously if possible. Wipe a counter you did not dirty. Let someone merge without needing them to notice. Send a brief note of gratitude with no story around it. Place a small bill where an unseen hand will find it. Return a call with patience instead of hurry. Or offer the purest gift of all, silence where boasting would have been tempting. Say nothing about it. Tell no one. Enter into thy closet. Let the Father which seeth in secret reward thee openly. Feel what happens inside as you do this. There is no drain, because there was no donor. There is only flow, because there is only source. Not my energy, not my will, not my capacity. Grace, grace, grace. And the strange arithmetic of heaven appears. The more you give from overflow, the fuller you find yourself, because fullness was the fact before the act. God is. God is. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. The old reflex will return. The body will remember its former master and reach for the helmet and the horn. And the mind will announce that the house is on fire, even when you are only looking at an email. Oh, no, no, no. Do not condemn yourself. Please remember, recurrence is a suggestion, not a law. Actually, there is no relationship between the appearance of pressure and the loss of peace. They are entirely separate and distinct. Pressure is a sound at the door. Peace is the house itself. You do not have to invite the sound inside. So here's your first 30 seconds. Stop. Be still. Say nothing, write nothing, send nothing. Drop the shoulders a half inch, then a half inch more. Release the jaw. Let the eyes soften their grip. Let the breath arrive as it wishes. No heroics. 5 seconds. Now withdraw allegiance from the story rising to a shout. Turn within. Enter your closet in the midst of a hallway, a car, a conference room, and without adornment, without bargaining, place one sentence in consciousness. God is. 5 seconds. Again, softer now, not as a charm but as fact. God is. 5 seconds. Now quietly ask, not to get an answer, but to reveal your reliance. Am I trying to get something from this moment, or am I letting grace be present in it? Let the question expose the hidden grip. 5 seconds. Then, once more, with no strain, God is. God is, and that's enough to know. 5 seconds. Finally, allow one simple willingness to form. I will do the next right thing from peace, not for peace. 5 seconds. There are your 30. Please remember this point. Speed is not power. Control is not safety. The world trains you to bolt and to brace, to outrun the imagined collapse by adding more force. Actually, there is no relationship between frantic fixing and true effectiveness. Frantic fixing multiplies motion. Peace expresses order. So, do the next right thing. Only the next, only what is yours, and do it from the center. Make the call, write the line, step into the room, but let the act be the transparency of rest already found, not the pilgrimage toward rest. If the right thing is to wait, wait. If the right thing is to move, move. The measure is not pace, nor the theater of urgency. The measure is reliance. And guard the secrecy. Do not perform your 30 seconds for applause. Shut the inner door. Let the Father, which seeth in secret, reward you openly in clarity, in timing, in quiet sufficiency. If the reflex returns 10 times in an hour, you have 10 altars at which to practice the same sentence, the same stillness, the same choice of reliance. Your victory is not in never feeling pressure. It is in remembering quickly that grace is present, and the carrying is not yours. My peace, not as a mood, but as your home. God is. God is. And if the fear shouts as if to drown it, whisper the refrain that unmasks the hoax. The weight is not life. It is the belief you must carry life. The government is upon His shoulder. God is. Thank you. Thank you. Now just try to follow this. We are not leaving with a mood. We are leaving with a home. My peace I give unto you, not as a momentary lift, not as a fragile feeling that trembles in the wind. Please remember this point. Peace that passeth understanding is not rare. It is the natural evidence of realized presence. When reliance is placed where it belongs, when the carrier resigns from a job never assigned, peace appears as fact, not as prize. Actually, there is no relationship between surviving life and entering peace. They are entirely separate and distinct. Peace is not what you reach after you endure. Peace is where you begin when you remember. God is. Let this be your refrain as you go. God is. That's enough to know. God is, that's all. Not God somewhere, not God if, not God when. God is. And as that is known, quietly known, secretly known, the heart discovers it was never a furnace to be stoked, but a sanctuary to be recognized. The ache was not life. It was the belief that you must carry life. The government is upon His shoulder, not yours. Hear your identity called by its true name now. You are not a worker trying to earn rest. You are the household of God, living from grace. Fellow citizens of the household of God, not tenants who pay rent in exhaustion. Heirs and joint heirs with Christ. This is language of being, not of bargaining. Please remember, what you are does not improve by effort. It is revealed by reliance. as son, as daughter, as expression of the One. You do not import peace by technique. You allow peace to be what it is where you are. Now then, do not let this evening become a lovely exception. We are students, disciples. We live by principle we can count on. Return daily to the simple 10-minute yielding. Enter your closet, shut the door of getting, and rest in God is, until the principle becomes felt, dependable, something you can count on in season and out of season. Morning, midday, evening. No performance, no announcement, only this steady, humble repentance of reliance. In time, you will not be visiting peace. You will be commencing from it, and the day will be what it must be. Effect, not cause. Carry this blessing in your bones. My peace, not as a mood, but as your home. When the wind rises, you will not argue with it. You will remember quickly. God is. You will take the next right step from peace, not for peace. And as you walk, let your silence be prayer, your patience be proof, your simplicity be praise, not of self, oh no, 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 but of the One who lives its life as you. God is. That's enough to know. God is. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.